But where we do fail, and where this comes back to affordability, is we have a big disconnect between where our residential areas are, where people live, and where our places of employment are.
This is Las Vegas Real Estate Now with local real estate expert Harvey Blankfeld.
Oh boy, well, sprawl is it's a dirty word when it comes to urban economics and growth, because people have different ideas of what sprawl means. As an urban economist, I think of sprawl as sprawl's a natural outgrowth of cities growing, people getting richer, transportation networks getting better. The problem that I think most people have is with uncoordinated sprawl. See, like we're leapfrog development, you get you're encroaching into like nature and into green space.
Right.
That's a sprawl people don't like. But sprawl is a natural outcome of places growing. We're growing, so we need to sprawl. The positive or negative thing is that we are limited by SNPLMA of how much we can grow.
Right.
So we used to think of ourselves as really sprawling because we had sort of spread out along our existing boundary. Now we're reaching that edge. So we actually, surprisingly, are pretty compact compared to the rest of the country, because we have an urban growth boundary that exists around us thanks to the federal
Yeah, we're in a
government.
valley here. I mean, the mountains kind of limit our ability, even though we are starting to kind of creep up the mountains in some of the parts
slowly.
of the valley. But you were talking. I mean, interesting. You were talking about during the break about the impact of transportation.
Yeah. So we're our most recent research report in May was looking at how we rank in terms of the other major cities in the U.S. in terms of sprawl. We are pretty compact. I mean, we don't sprawl as much as other cities, mostly because we are constrained by our geography.
Right.
So we actually do better than average. But to most of the rest of the country. But where we do fail, and where this comes back to affordability, is we have a big disconnect between where our residential areas are, where people live, and where our places of employment are. So those transportation corridors and that disconnect leads to this degree of what we call the degree of separation between workplace and homes. If we think about who is most reliant on bridging that gap, it's people who are probably reliant on RTC or some other means of transportation. Those are the same folks that are impacted by the larger affordability issues. And if we think about where some of our new housing can be built in the absence of infill development, it's going to be on the periphery. And if we're trying to build affordable housing on the periphery of the city, how are folks going to get there?
Yeah,
because
I think that really
is struggling.
It really speaks to the idea that we have to infill. We have to build affordable housing closer to where people are working.
Yeah,
I mean, to make it easier, we still need RTC to get people wherever they need to get to. And you were saying, Maurice, you were saying they're going to be struggling over the next few years as well. Their revenues have been dropping or not keeping up with demand.
Correct. And so, they're facing a lot of issues right now. And so,
and so this is all important to us. Again, for those of us who are fairly comfortable, we've already established ourselves. We feel, you need to be a little uncomfortable, guys. You need to be just a little bit uncomfortable, because you don't have that base of people coming into the market. Then there's no one to help you out later on. It's just not going to be there for you. And employers have to be most concerned about this too. I mean, people can't get to your work.
Yeah.
You got no people to work. They're just not. It's just not going to happen. I mean, your business is going to fail, and so we need to figure these things out. And we need those essential services people. We need them to have accessibility, both transportation wise and house. And sometimes the choice is, do I have some way to get to work, or do I have a place to live?
Yeah.
Correct.
And that's a horrible choice to have to make.
Yeah.
Or the fact that you might have someone who may have the opportunity to get a job or a better job. It's just too far away from them to be able to comfortably get there every day. So therefore they forego it. And then that has cascading effects for the rest of their life. And that's, you never want to set up a city on purpose to sort of discourage folks from trying to improve their life. But sometimes when you have things that, residences so disconnected from our main employment areas, that happens. And that's a tough public policy issue to fix.
Yeah. When you think of the makeup of our valley, the predominant workforce is right there in the middle. Right there on the strip. I mean, that's where the predominant number of people are working, whether they're in the casinos or not. If they're not in the casinos, they're supporting the casinos in some way, shape, or form. And so that becomes, I can see where that can become an issue for Las Vegas as a business community. And diversification, we discussed that before. We need, so critical to our overall growth. We're a big major metropolitan area. We need to have more than just casinos and entertainment going on here.